Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Matt Mulcahy with the 10 at 10. A shocking spike in heroin deaths between Wednesday and yesterday. 7 people died in Buffalo from the opioid drug. Now, officials say a lethal dose of an unknown substance is being added to heroin and is making its rounds throughout the community. Now, here in Syracuse, a mother is speaking out for the first time, telling us how heroin laced with fentanyl took her son's life. Marek has this exclusive story tonight.
Patrice Finlayson looks down at this picture of her family, a reminder that not everyone in it is here anymore. Her son Antoine Congdon lost his battle with addiction to heroin on January 31st of last year.
He's overdosed several times. They brought him back. Been in rehab. A few times, left. I woke up the time he died. I sat straight up in bed. A few minutes later, my son called me and they found him unresponsive in the bathroom floor.
Toxicology reports show it wasn't just heroin in the batch. It was laced with fentanyl powder.
That's what killed him. Narcan cannot bring you back.
Patrice says whoever dealt her son the heroin murdered him. Now all she has are memories to keep her going.
I'm not ready to accept the reality that my son is dead. I'm not ready to accept it. And I don't want any other mother to feel the way I do.
Now she wants to talk to kids in schools about how devastating heroin can be.
They just don't know that's the devil's poison. And it could be their first time, could be their last. I don't want to see another mother suffer what I'm going through. And you do suffer.
She says one day she wants to open a rehab facility for addicts to try and save more lives, as so many are being lost. In Syracuse, I'm Marek reporting.
Well, also tonight, the Syracuse Crunch faced off against drug addiction. The hockey team hosted its first ever drug awareness panel. Organizers wanted to share the pain of addiction with teens because young athletes are especially vulnerable. University Hospital says athletes prescribed painkillers for an injury can eventually become addicted. Brent Axe lost his niece Morgan to a heroin fentanyl overdose. He wanted to share his story.
I still can't believe it. I wake up every day and kind of have to remind myself that it happened. And, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. I know that's a common message, but you really learn the meaning of that when, unfortunately, something like this happens to your family.
Axe says it was heartening to see middle and high schoolers getting there to the game early to be part of this message and hopes it stops them from falling into addiction in the future. Well, a live look at downtown Syracuse right now. Here's the Onondaga Creek heading through the center of downtown. It is full. This is just on Walton Street overlooking the Creek Walk. Areas to our south are experiencing some important alerts too as rain continues on and off depending on where you are. Certainly a wet, soggy, chilly evening out there. We now head over to the Weather Center. Meteorologist Molly Matad is lit up in red with some continuing concern about the possibility of flooding in this wintry mix of weather. Molly?
Exactly. Those are our two main concerns. It's a bit drier. We'll talk more about your full weekend forecast coming up. Matt?
Thank you, Molly. Happening right now. U.S. intelligence officials say terrorists are testing a bomb that could be hidden in laptop computers and evade security scanners. They say Al-Qaeda and ISIS are developing this device. This comes after the United States and the UK banned electronic devices on flights from several Middle Eastern countries. This policy includes any electronics larger than a smartphone, including laptops, iPads, and cameras. A witness says the man who crashed into a church minibus in Texas was texting while driving. The crash killed 13 seniors Wednesday. They were on their way home from a religious retreat. The witness says he saw the driver swerving in and out of the lane just before the crash. He says he called the sheriff's office while he was following that truck. There's no new state budget yet. Senator John DeFrancisco says gridlock is preventing lawmakers from agreeing on a final budget. Assembly Democrats and Senate Republicans have not been able to agree on changing the current state law that prosecutes 16 and 17-year-old offenders as adults. DeFrancisco says he expects a budget to pass before Monday. Well, the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus Band is performing at North Syracuse Junior High's stage tonight. For lead guitarist Josh Burke, it's another trip back home for him, not just another gig. He goes back to where it all started. Burke grew up in Central New York. He attended North Syracuse schools. Being a big jumpsuit fan himself as a kid, he learned to play a screaming guitar. He got the gig to become their lead guitarist about 5 years ago. Been on the road ever since. Says he's glad to be back home.
It's wild to be back in here, and to think I played in this room when I was like 15, 14, and to be back doing it as a professional, it's special, it's cool, for sure.
New at 10 tonight, our Kelly Curtin has more on the experience for the students who have welcomed this home back to their home.
Students like Taylor Durantini have been working countless hours for the past month. Syracuse, I'm Kelly Curtin.
Terrific performance tonight. Well, tens of thousands of people drive by this building every day, but the building is just about down now. It was once home to Uncle Sam, Suburban Park, the Country Club. It's been demolished throughout the week. It sits right at the corner of Erie Boulevard and Bridge Street. In fact, bands like the Police and Pat Benatar played there in the 1970s. Now those mirrored walls are coming down. The only plan is to put up either a new retail or restaurant at that location. Looking ahead, a new grocery store will open on Syracuse's south side Sunday. The Price Right store will bring fresh produce and meat to an area that's long been declared a food desert. Right now, neighbors have to go miles out of their way to buy groceries. It's been nearly a decade since the south side has seen a grocery store so nearby.
It's been very difficult to see this neighborhood and work within the neighborhood and see people who have no access to food or their only access might be corner stores, and that's usually not the healthiest place to buy food to sustain a family.
Now, the first 200 people to walk into the store on opening day Sunday will get a $25 gift card. An update right now on April the giraffe. The Animal Adventure Park in Broome County says she is in labor, and this is a live look-in on the April giraffe webcam. One of Molly Matat's favorite pastimes is keeping an eye on April. She's been following all along for weeks now. The experts there are saying there could be a new addition to the giraffe family by the end of the weekend. Experts say the calf will weigh around 150 pounds, stand already 6 feet tall. When born, we'll keep an eye on April and see how she does throughout the next hour. That is the 10 at 10. Still ahead, a massive fire breaks out on a major interstate in Atlanta, where police are now in their investigation, including some arrests tonight. Plus, at 10:30, a new experience in one of the state's most beloved parks for visitors. They're adding to people who visit who are on the autism spectrum. How volunteers are working to create a trail that fits their needs.
You're watching CW6 News at 10 with Matt Mulcahy, meteorologist Molly Matat, and sports with Nico Tamuri.
Welcome back to the news at 10. Here's what's trending at 10 tonight. 3 people are under arrest for a massive fire that engulfed a major interstate in Atlanta. Collapsing the bridge, traffic came to a halt. Thick black smoke and flames covered the area. Now, officials say construction material stored under this bridge may be what erupted into flames. Roughly 700 feet of the bridge will have to be demolished and then rebuilt. They're starting with $10 million of federal funding. Protesters in Missouri were arrested after chaining themselves to some barrels in an effort to block a landfill. Protesters wrote messages on the barrels urging senators to act. The activists say they're concerned that an underground smoldering fire will soon reach radioactive waste. These dogs are getting a second chance in the United States after being rescued from a dog meat farm in South Korea. Officials from the Humane Society say this is the first time these dogs are on grass, ever. They say the animals would have likely been killed. As expected, they are timid, but caregivers at the Humane Society say they are coming around. Back to the news at 10. Here's your health checkup tonight. Stunning surgery. Doctors in China grew an artificial ear on a man's arm and then transplanted it onto his head. Started 3 months ago after he lost his right ear in a car accident. Doctors stretched the man's arm skin. Then they took a piece of cartilage from his chest to carve out the new ear. You can see it there. Before they planted the artificial organ on his forearm. Now, the man's expected to recover and leave the hospital in 2 weeks. A creative approach, to say the least. Radiation therapy may be dangerous for breast cancer patients who smoke. Research shows longtime smokers who kept with the habit during therapy were more likely to develop serious health problems. 5% had a heart attack or lung cancer caused by radiation, compared to less than 1% of non-smokers. Encouraging news in the fight against cancer. Leading researchers say fewer Americans are dying from the disease. The study finds that deaths from most types decreased between 2010 and 2014. The exceptions were liver, pancreas, brain, and uterine cancers. Experts say there's still a lot of work to do. You know, most people with chronic back pain assume their only options are therapy, surgery, or medication, but one patient went a different route, and now he no longer feels the pain. Samantha Sonner has more. Welcome back to the CW6 News at 10. A choking hazard has prompted the recall of thousands of John Deere infant hats. Officials say the button on the top of that cap can detach. That poses a choking risk. Hats are sold at Tractor Supply Company and other ranch stores nationwide. Consumers are advised to contact the distributor for a full refund. No injuries have been reported. Starbucks will test out a mobile order and pay-only store next week inside its Seattle headquarters. This comes in response to major peak time backups at drink delivery stations in its cafe. The company hopes this new move will slim down the congestion. Traffic jams at the handoff counter have caused some customers to leave before making a purchase, despite short lines at the register. Good news now to end the night. Manatees are finally off the endangered species list. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services are upgrading the species from endangered status to threatened. Experts say it means manatees are no longer in danger of extinction, but they still need protection due to their smaller numbers. Manatees have been hovering on the brink of extinction since 1973. That is the CW6 News at 10. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Matt Mulcahy. Have a great night. We'll see you later on. An update now on today's attack in Sweden. One person in custody after a hijacked truck slammed into people there, killing 4, wounding 15, described as a terrorist attack. Happened this afternoon right outside a department store, one of Stockholm's busiest streets. The man arrested is an Uzbekistan native who posted jihadist propaganda. He claimed responsibility for the attack. Well, the U.S. tonight is assessing the damage and measuring the fallout after the airstrike on Syria. Comes in response to a chemical attack carried out by the Syrian government this week, which killed more than 100 people. President Trump defended his decision to the American people last night, saying it's America's responsibility to deter the use of chemical weapons. More than 50 Tomahawk missiles struck a Syrian home base, home to the warplanes that are believed to have carried out the initial chemical attack. Now, the Pentagon released details of the strike, saying the missiles were fired from 2 warships in the Mediterranean, destroyers, the USS Porter and the USS Ross. Officials say all but 1 missile hit its intended target. Kenneth Craig has more on the message it sends. Welcome back to the News at 10. Here's what's trending at 10 tonight. Nearly half a dozen cars went up in flames this morning in New York City. Not clear what started the fire. You can see the orange flames, thick clouds of smoke filling the street. Onlookers pulled out cell phones to capture it. Firefighters did contain the fire within about 8 minutes. Firefighters battled a giant fire spreading through a junkyard in Baltimore. It all started when a pile of debris near a car shredder ignited. Officials warned drivers on the highway to expect delays due to the thick smoke. There were no injuries. No charter flight has ever flown through the Southern Lights till today. Passengers aboard the Air New Zealand plane rushed towards the window to get a once-in-a-lifetime look at the green glow surrounding them. Didn't come cheaply. Each traveler paid a steep price, over $2,000 for the 8-hour flight, which flies in one big circle. Despite becoming a mother to twin cubs just last year, this 8-year-old giant panda remains young at heart. Video shows her climbing a small tree. Whoa, look out. Sudden branch snap, she tumbled to the ground. Fit of anger then, she bites and scratches the wood furiously before completing a somersault. There she goes. She then climbs another tree and starts it all over again, just rolling with the punches, or the branches. Coming up, it's March Madness at the doctor's office. My doctors say more men come in for a vasectomy this time of year. Welcome back to the News at 10. Here's what's trending at 10 tonight. A brush fire broke out in Orlando's tourism district, prompting dozens of people to evacuate from their hotel. Officials say the fire is spreading quickly due to dry conditions. The high winds are a problem too. The fire started at just 20 acres. It's now spread to 400. Crews are working to contain the fire. No injuries have been reported. City of Paris is paying tribute to the victims of the subway bombing in Russia. The Eiffel Tower went dark at midnight to honor the lives lost in that explosion. Russian officials say the blast killed at least 14. Paris has been the target of terrorism in the past. In November 2015, ISIS claimed responsibility for a deadly attack that killed 130 people in Paris. While President Trump met with China's President, Melania Trump and China's First Lady visited a local middle school in Palm Beach. The school specializes in the arts. Both First Ladies listened to musical performances. They went from table to table asking students about their projects. A White House spokesman says the administration wanted to arrange a visit to a public school that was focused on the arts. Welcome back to the news at 10. Here's your health checkup tonight. KFC is the latest fast food chain to move towards more natural food. The company announced plans to cut antibiotics from both its boneless and on-the-bone chicken by next year. This change applies to all of its 4,200 restaurants throughout the country. McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's have already eliminated antibiotics from their chicken. A new warning for people who use certain kinds of asthma inhalers. Officials say some may not be delivering the right amount of medication. GlaxoSmithKline is recalling around 600,000 inhalers. A spokesman for the British pharmaceutical company says the devices may have a defective delivery system. Says if your inhaler isn't relieving symptoms, you should call your doctor. More emergency room doctors are using nasal spray to medicate patients. Researchers say they are now in a wider variety of drugs can be used as a spray, including anti-seizure medications, painkillers, and sedatives. They say this option is helpful for children who really can't swallow pills, or maybe they're afraid of the needles. People living with autism struggle in high-stress situations. One 12-year-old boy from New York is teaching police officers how to interact with others who are just like him. Liz Streppa has more. Welcome back to the news at 10. An update on the jobs market. The unemployment rate is now the lowest in 10 years in the U.S., falling to 4.5% last month. Government data shows wages were roughly 3% higher in March compared to a year ago. On the downside, job growth slowed. The economy added just under 100,000 jobs in March, half the amount added back in February. But looking ahead, some good news for anyone searching for a job. According to Career Builder's latest forecast, the hiring outlook is the best it's been in a decade. It says 45% of U.S. employers plan to hire full-time, permanent employees from April through June. Temporary hiring is expected to see a boost too. Nearly half of the employers plan to add temporary or contract workers over the next 3 months.
I should have done it earlier, but now I'll sing the song.
An Arizona high school student brought the Oscar-winning movie La La Land back to life in one of the most impressive promposals yet. He was hoping to get Emma Stone, the main actress, the Oscar-winning actress from the film, to come to his prom, but despite his best efforts, she still let him down lightly. Stone wrote a letter to the student telling him, "I'm in London working, but I hope you have the best time at prom." Great effort. Ryan Gosling's got nothing on him. That's the CW6 News at 10. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Matt Mulcahy. Have a great night. We'll see you later on.
Good morning and welcome to Mornings on the Hill. I'm Jamie Weiss.
And I'm Angelica Rodriguez. Thanks for waking up with us today. Here are this morning's top stories.
Hundreds of students will gather here at Hendricks Chapel tonight for a rally on ending sexual violence. I'll have the details on what you can expect from the Take Back the Night event.
Chuck's Bar is in a legal feud with its soon-to-be landlord over when it will close. We'll explain what's at stake for this popular campus spot.
And find out how Syracuse students fared in the citywide half marathon over the weekend.
And all that and more today on Mornings on the Hill.
Syracuse University will host its annual Take Back the Night event tonight.
Our Megan Mystery is live outside Hendricks Chapel where the event will take place. Megan, what can we expect tonight?
Good morning, Jamie and Angelica. Now, Take Back the Night is an event that's held in various places across the nation. Tonight's event will be here at Hendricks Chapel at 7 p.m. It will consist of both a keynote speaker and a march that starts here, goes through campus, and ends here. After, students will have candles, and they're encouraged to share their stories or simply their support. According to the Facebook page by the organizers of tonight's event, they're hoping to create a campus community that, quote, is committed to ending sexual and relationship violence. Events like tonight started in the 1970s in Philadelphia after a string of violent attacks across women. Now, although Take Back the Night started as more of a female-centered event, tonight's event will actually be more gender-inclusive because relationship and sexual violence can happen to both genders and both sexes. Take Back the Night has become a very popular event held across campuses, and it comes just days ahead of April 1st, which marks the start of Sexual Assault Awareness Month. The Office of Health Promotions here at Syracuse University is planning tonight's Take Back the Night event with a team of student organizers. I spoke with one of those students this morning who says that they've had a record number of student organizations pledged to attend tonight's event. Now, if you want more information, organizers will be at the Shine Student Center tabling from now until 2 p.m. That's all the information that I have for you guys. Reporting live in front of Hendricks Chapel, I'm Megan Mistry. Back to you, Angelica and Jamie.
Thank you, Megan. Megan will actually be back again in our 10:30 half hour to recap the event.
As a reminder, tonight's Take the Back Night rally would be at 7 p.m. outside the Hendricks Chapel.
And Hungry Chuck's Cafe and the new developer planning to take over its current location were supposed to meet in court yesterday, but that appearance was postponed.
We have Jeff Slauson in studio to break down how we got to this point between the two sides.
Yes, and good morning to both of you. Now, a battle between two titans has been something that's been played out for years across history, and that's no different than what we have here. But let's look at some of the past. We've seen Batman versus Superman, two titan superheroes taking it on. We've seen Tyson and Frazier, another big battle of the heavyweights, and we've also seen Coke versus Pepsi. But now, a new rivalry is taking center stage, and that is Chuck's versus Boulevard Equities, another which brings us to today. Chuck's and the development group were supposed to appear in court yesterday. That, however, was postponed by the group. And what does that mean? The restraining order still stands. The court case will be rescheduled, and more importantly for those graduating in the spring, Chuck's is still open. Seniors can rest easy. From live in the newsroom, Jeff Slauson, Mornings on the Hill. Back to both of you.
Thank you, Jeff. That is definitely a story we're going to keep up with. But more in campus news now. Syracuse University professor George Saunders' first novel, Lincoln on the Bardo, debuted at the top of the New York Times bestseller list. The novel follows the fictionalized story of President Abraham Lincoln's visit to his son's grave.
Saunders says the novel has inspired by the seated Lincoln statue outside the Maxwell building. He's in currently only a month-long tour of the U.S. and England to promote the book.
The book is also already headed to the big screen. Husband-wife team Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally will produce the movie, working with Saunders. The project is in development and is looking for a director and cast. And still waiting for Uber to come to upstate New York? Well, you're gonna have to wait a little longer. Upstate New York is now the only area in the U.S. without the popular ride-sharing app, with Uber and Lyft in New York State being just limited to New York City.
These ride-sharing apps are making their final push to expand before the state budget vote this Saturday. Their efforts include launching a TV ad this week and emailing upstate New Yorkers to lobby their lawmakers. The past few days have been pretty good weather-wise for CNY standards.
That's right, Angelica. 9 days into the official start of spring, is there a possibility that we may see some snow coming about? Well, Stephen Cranen is live outside with our weather. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Jamie. I mean, you have Chuck's versus that Boulevard Entities place, and you have spring versus winter right here, and that's going to come to a pass a little bit on Friday. But first, let's take a look at the full next 2 days here in central New York. Spring is here for the most part, and it looks like hopefully we're out of winter for the most part for right now. Jamie and Angelica, back to you.
Thank you so much. After so much snow this winter, it's definitely nice to hear rain rather than the snow in this forecast.
It really is. And Stephen will be back in our next half hour with another check on the weather. SU is ranked the top upstate New York school for some majors. Find out which coming up here on Mornings on the Hill.
And some runners, it's the culmination of a lot of training. So which SU students made it across the finish line at the Syracuse Half Marathon? We'll show you the results after the break.
Welcome back to Mornings on the Hill. How issues of race and diversity are covered by the media is the topic of discussion for the next couple of days here at the Newhouse School. Newhouse and SU's National Association of Hispanic Journalists chapter are co-hosting an event featuring 5 different media experts.
Mornings on the Hill, Mariana Dominguez is live outside Newhouse on Waverly Avenue to tell us more.
Good morning, Angelica and Jamie. The Race and Media 2-day event will take place later today. Jamie and Angelica, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Mariana. Syracuse University ranks as one of the top schools in upstate New York to study popular undergraduate majors.
CollegeFactual.com lists the 50 majors most students want to study and the best schools to study them at. Looking at just upstate New York schools on the list, Syracuse ranks #1 in several majors.
Syracuse University is listed as the best upstate college to study business management, design, and applied arts, finance, journalism, marketing, and social work.
Reporters Without Borders is an international program working to promote and protect freedom of information and freedom of the press for journalists across the world.
Our own Lauren Sinatra is live in the studio with one Syracuse University student who devotes a lot of his time with the organization. Good morning, Lauren.
Good morning, Jamie and Angelica. I'm joined now by Elijah Shama, who is the president of Reporters Without Borders. Thank you so much for joining us again. And again, this event is this weekend on Friday at 7 p.m. You can get tickets at Shine box office. So back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you so much, Lauren. That's definitely an event we're very interested in. And coming up next, there's a growing number of refugees here in central New York.
And they are making many contributions to the community. We'll explain coming up.
So just like we were talking about employment and things like that. So,
well, Angelica, it's the most stressful time for college seniors. The job hunt is underway as graduation inches closer.
But for one SU student, getting hired isn't the problem. Staying in the country is.
I have the opportunity. My life would be upended and I would be removed from a comfortable situation I have here.
That was Mornings on the Hill's Johnny Oliver, and Johnny reached out to the Center for International Students at SU to comment about the concern for DACA's possible repeal.
However, they were unable to comment until Syracuse University Senate meeting about the issue.